Hello, welcome back to Garden Obsessed. My name is Carla. I took another impromptu break, but things continued. We did do more stuff. I just wasn't in the mood to make videos for a while. I'm not sure why, but spring is springing. There are seedlings in the grow room and I'm feeling it again. So today I want to get a lot of stuff done. It smells like garlic in here. I'm gonna try to make Toum for the very first time. I have sap boiling out on our front deck for maple syrup, which is right in the middle of sap season here. And maybe I'll show you guys what I have growing and a few things that I'm doing. So that's the plan for today. I have my garlic peeled, which is why at the room smells like garlic. And I cut the cloves in half and took out the germ. It's just like where the little green sprout is. It can apparently make your Toum bitter, which I don't want because I've never made it before and I want this to be like a good experience. I'm making it in my little mini food processor, so I am making a half batch, which I hope will fit because it still requires 1.5 cups of oil. So I measured out, this was empty, so I measured out 1.5 cups, which good to know. It's pretty much exactly 1.5 cups that fits in this bottle. This is all of the fresh garlic that we have left. I separated everything this morning when I was getting that garlic ready, but yeah, so we do have quite a bit frozen, but we have 5 months to go probably until we get more garlic. This should be enough. We have probably 4 times this in the freezer. I froze some cloves just like this for the first time ever. I haven't used any yet, but this is how that 1870s homestead freezes and preserves their garlic. But I also peeled a bunch and blended it with a little bit of olive oil and made like garlic ice cubes. So I've been loving those, going through those like crazy. And that might happen with these. I gotta tell you something else too about garlic. So last year we had garlic leaf moth for the very first time. And this year we had a lot more of them. And because I was so concerned with the leaf moth, I cured my garlic a little differently than I usually do. And I think it worked out. I mean, it could have been the growing season. It could have been some other things, but I'm definitely not going to worry about doing it differently from now on. Normally when I cure my garlic, it's usually beginning of August before we harvest our garlic. And I think I harvested it a little bit early this year, just like a week at most, because I was worried about the leaf moth. And normally I cure my garlic with the stems on until they turn brown, and then I cut them off and clean up the garlic after a couple weeks, and then it's ready to store. Well, this year, because I was worried about the larva being in the stems, which seems to be where most of the damage was. Out of, I think we grew 168 bulbs last year, and I only found 2 bulbs that had any damage from the leaf moth. Most of it was in the garlic scape and the stalk of the garlic. So that's one good thing that's good to know. But I cut off the stalks to cure it this year. And like I didn't have any desiccated. Usually by this time, the cloves are starting to soften and the papers are loose. And sometimes you can have completely desiccated cloves. And I think I threw out 1 soft clove out of everything that we had left. And this bowl was fairly full. So yeah, I think it's actually easier. I found it takes up a lot less room to cure the garlic with the stalks removed. I think that's the way I'm doing it from now on, guys. Just a little share. Okay, I had a little bit too much garlic. I had more like 3/4 cup. So I've taken some of that garlic out. I put the garlic and 1 teaspoon. Remember, I'm doing a half recipe, and I'm using a recipe from Feel Good Foodie that I just found online. It had the highest recommendations, so trying that one. So 1 teaspoon of salt, half a cup of garlic in here, and I'm going to process this for about a minute and try to get a really smooth garlic paste. All right, I'm going off book here a little bit because I'm having a hard time. I think because I'm doing a half recipe, I'm having a hard time getting the garlic as finely chopped as I want it. So I have my 1/4 cup of lemon juice. There's a little bit of oil in there too because that's what I use to measure out my oil. And I am going to add, at this point, you are not supposed to add anything, but I am going to add a little bit of lemon juice just to see if I can get this to mince a little better. That is one of the tips that I saw when I was trying to figure out how to make this, that if you have a smooth, fine garlic paste to start with, the better. So I'm gonna see, and hopefully it doesn't ruin anything. All right, guys, the lemon juice did nothing, so I'm going to just proceed with adding the oil. You're supposed to alternate like half a cup of oil and adding a tablespoon of the lemon juice back and forth. So we're just gonna get doing it. All right, guys, we're getting closer, but I'm not gonna lie, this is an annoying process because it is so thick that I have to constantly stop it to scrape down the sides. And we have this much oil. We've got maybe a tablespoon left of the lemon juice. We're gonna carry on. All right, guys, I think we did it. It is very thick. I did not use the recommended oil. They recommended a light neutral oil, which we didn't have any, so I used olive oil. That's why mine's a little yellow. And I definitely can taste it, but it's not bothersome to me. It's friggin' delicious. It's pretty hot and spicy right now, but it said if it's refrigerated for 24 hours that it will kind of mellow out and develop its flavors a little. So I'm gonna get it in a container and get it into the fridge. So good to know. 2 of these little IKEA, I think these are 1 cup. 2 of these little containers are exactly what a half recipe fills. So probably 1 of these will go in the fridge and 1 of them will go in the freezer. Apparently you can freeze this, and this is quite a lot, but we will play around with that this week on some sandwiches and things like that. Or this was like a proud girlfriend moment, guys. We were at Walmart and Jarrett came over all excited that there were fingerling potatoes that were reduced. Because these are the good potatoes, guys. So they look awesome. So maybe tomorrow, after this has rested, we might make some roasted potato wedges. Apparently fries and things are one of the things that Toum is really good on. So I think that sounds freaking delicious. Checking on the syrup. It's down about 1 liter. We just use one of these electric, plug-in burners. And this is gonna take all day. I have, these are 3-gallon buckets, so there was 6 gallons at the beginning of the day, and hopefully by the end of the day it will all fit in this pot. In other fun news, I bought myself a little sprout that was on sale. This is the smallest Aerogarden I think that they make now. The larger unit that I had that was not Aerogarden totally shit the bed. So I ended up taking cuttings from the mature plants that I had in it. I had a tiny Tim, and I've taken a couple cuttings from it. You can see the stem there. I cut the sponge kind of in half and put the stem down through, and you can see all the roots there. And I also had, these are the full-size tomatoes, or the full-size tomato plants that Jarrett likes. It's his favorite cherry tomato. And it's called Tidy Treats. So I took a couple of cuttings of it. It's a hybrid, so I don't have seeds for it. So this is the only way I can keep it going from year to year. I haven't done that before for this particular tomato, but I decided to do it this year, and so far it's going well. You can see that, again, we did get some cherry tomatoes off of it in that other unit before it died, but you can see there's more flowers coming, so we'll have some more cherry tomatoes. And this is the other tiny Tim that I took cuttings from. It also has some blooms coming. And then when I bought this unit, I also decided to start a couple of jalapeno plants. So these probably won't spend their life in this unit. I will probably transplant these into pots, and then they'll end up in the garden at some point this year, or at least that's the plan right now. But we will see how it goes. This is the unit that died. Just a public service announcement, like, don't buy this unit. I tried contacting the company 3 times. This is less than a year old. It's still under warranty, and they are just ignoring me. They won't get back to me. So don't buy this brand. Aerogarden is a way more dependable brand. I bought this unit. They don't even make this one anymore, probably 10 to 15 years ago, and it's still going strong. I just bought a replacement light for it. Like, it's not even LED, that's how old this thing is. I don't think they make them with the bulbs anymore, just the LED lights. And I just keep this in our bathroom on the counter, and I'm just growing some beans on it just for shits and gigs. I've also been playing around with some microgreens. These are kale microgreens, and it's I've grown them with seed that I saved last year. I saved a whole bunch of kale seeds, and this is one of the things you can do. Like, if you're saving your own seed and you're like, what am I possibly going to do with all this seed? Like, you can totally grow microgreens out of almost any vegetable. So these are just, they're day 10. These are ready to harvest now. They're still at the cotyledon stage, but they will start putting on true leaves anytime. They are a little milder in flavor before they develop their true leaves, so I will probably harvest these, you know, in the next day or so. And just FYI that you don't need like fancy equipment or anything. This is like a Bath and Body Works candle holder that candle container that I just cleaned out. You got to be a little more fussy maybe, because this doesn't have holes in it, obviously, for drainage. But if you're, on top of watering and are careful not to overwater, literally you can use anything. I'm going to get some started maybe today. Maybe we'll do it together. And I just have like a mushroom container that I saved. So maybe we will do that together, and I'll show you how to do it. It's pretty simple. I also have started my sweet peas. Everything germinated really well except for my very favorite, which is Prince of Orange, which is sad. I have a few more seeds. I might try to maybe pre-sprout them before I fill up these cells with them. But anyway, they're coming out on warm days to get a little sunshine. Okay, down in the grow room / laundry room. This is everything we have going on right now. So up on the top shelf, I have some ranunculus and anemones starting. You can see some roots starting. There's some growing tips starting on some of them too. And they don't really need light until they really start growing. And actually, they will probably go outdoors as soon as they need light. They like it cool. This is quite old Kratky lettuce now. It's still growing. We're still harvesting from it. It's doing okay, doing its thing. And these are some newer successions. So these front 3 are lettuce and the back 3 are some bok choy. In here, These are all of our petunia seedlings for our seed sale this, or not seed sale, but our, you know, hanging basket and plant start sale this spring. Had some older lettuce seed that I threw in to try to sprout. I think it's duds, but I do need to get some lettuce started. So I'll be starting some lettuce soon. And then these are some petunias, not like the fancy, you know, wave petunias. These are ones that I had that I will just plant around the house. Not quite as good of germination as the fancy ones, but pretty close. So over here, you will see that I have some more sprouts. So I've got sunflowers and I've got peas, and these are just started in mason jars. I had these kind of odd shaped jars that I don't really like to use for canning. And I thought they might work well for this purpose, and so far so good. At the back there, I have some pansies. They haven't sprouted yet. Down here, I have a couple of lettuce starts as well. I need to weed them out. I don't like to leave more than 2 at the most plants in this size jar. So they are maybe a week and a half or 2 weeks behind the ones that I had up here. And what else do we got here? One second while I remove some lids. So this is mostly herbs in these pots. I do have some geraniums. They're in the middle there at the back. And then I think that back one that hasn't germinated yet is peppers, but everything else in here is herbs. And some flowers like calendula, and then these are lobelia. Lobelia are like totally the most adorable like seedlings. They're impossibly tiny. I love them. I'm just gonna shoot through this one. So here we have some celery. They're just tiny. They take a long time to get going. Then we have onions. And we have some strawberries at the very back there that need to be potted up soon. Now, at the very bottom, I have my heat mat. I do have another heat mat and more of these lights, but my brother borrowed them for a while, so I need to get those back. But in here, I have mostly peppers. None of them have germinated yet. It was just less than a week ago that I do see a little sprout over there. So they're just starting to sprout. And then over here I have some snapdragons, and they are just starting to sprout too. They might be too small for you to see, but they just started sprouting yesterday. So looking good. And that is everything that we have in the grow room currently. So pretty soon the lights will all be on and these will all be full. Here's a better look at some of the ranunculus. Honestly, if it was warm enough outside right now, these could be planted outdoors. But I want to wait just maybe another week. We're supposed to have a little cold snap and I just don't want to risk it. Also, like, save your corms, guys. These are all from corms that I saved, except for the anemones. I find the anemones are a little harder to save and don't reproduce quite like the ranunculus do. Okay, so I told you guys that I would show you when I did my next little microgreens thing. So this is literally just a mushroom container. I bought, I think it was a pound of mushrooms in here, and I actually dehydrated those. I kind of dropped the ball on the last couple weeks of the pantry challenge, and I'm not sure that I actually showed you guys, but in the fall I had dehydrated some mushrooms and I used those in a couple of stir fries and dishes near the end of February, and I love the convenience of dehydrated mushrooms, holy. I had tried freezing like par-cooked mushrooms to following whole-fed homesteads directions. And they were good, but I thought that the dried mushrooms were just even that much more convenient. You don't have to cook them or anything. You literally just dry them. I didn't even rehydrate them before I used them. I just threw them in with the vegetables as they were kind of steaming, and they picked up enough moisture and rehydrated beautifully. So anyway, that's what I did with these mushrooms to get distracted. All I did, you can literally use any container, almost any container. Those takeout containers that are like, you know, about 1 inch thick, those would be perfect. You could put holes on the bottom if you wanted. I didn't, because I'm gonna put this in a humidity dome under the lights downstairs. And I check it every day. So I will have plenty of opportunity to keep this hydrated. I'm not worried about it drying out, and I'm pretty good about not overwatering things. But if you're worried about it, definitely put some holes in it, put it in a tray, no big deal. So I've got pre-moistened potting mix in here. And to just kind of show you, so this isn't even this year's seed. I think I bought this 2 years ago. It's broccoli rabe sprouting seeds, and it was $6 at the time. These are like way more expensive now, but this was for 100 grams of seed. This was the seed that I saved very easily and very simply with minimal effort and time from a couple of our kale varieties last year. I just mixed them together. I didn't care, because I knew this was what I was going to be doing. I didn't care if they were separated or not. I did save a few seeds, like, you know, a packet's worth of each. So I have them separated if I want to plant them separated. But for microgreens, I don't care. So they were Premier Kale and Red Russian, if anyone's interested. But this is like 150 grams of seed, and I've already used some. So, you know, you're talking $10 worth of seed 2 years ago. It's probably $15 or $20 worth of seed now. I've noticed a huge jump in the cost of seeds, especially this year. Like packets, individual packets are a lot more. But anyway, we have some kale ready to harvest, and I haven't done any broccoli in a while. So we're gonna use these today. I don't measure, like some people, you know, they have a really fine-tuned formula, I guess, if they're using like a 10-20 tray, and it's just Jarrett and I here most of the time. Plus one of the kids would not eat sprouts. So there's not much point to us growing like a whole 10-20 tray all at once of all the same thing. But people have, you know, how many grams per tray and, you know, things like that. You can really fine tune it. I don't do that. I just like a nice, even, heavy layer of seed on the surface. So I'm just gonna start taking pinchfuls of seed and sprinkling it on here, like pretty heavy. You want it fairly good coverage. If you get too much in one area, you can just kind of like, you know, spread it out with your finger. And you don't have to be precious about this at all. A couple more pinches and we'll have it done. It helps to have a level surface area when your seeds are little round balls like this is. You know, I thought I had it pretty even, but there's definitely some pockets where it's rolling around, but that's okay. I'll just use my finger, spread it out a little. Not a big deal. And this will probably finish it, this little pinch. I'll try to show you how heavily I have it seeded. It is quite heavy, which I think is why a lot of people don't do sprouts, because, you know, when the seed can be fairly expensive and you're using so much of it, it doesn't seem, you know, very practical. But if you're saving your own seed, man, it becomes so much more doable and practical. I don't know if you'll be able to see this because they are the same color of the soil, but I will try. I don't think you can really see that, but it's a fairly even coverage. I would say like 50% of the soil surface is covered with seeds. if that makes sense. So I won't get to show you these sprout today, but in about 10 days, I'll be able to show you, and they should be pretty much like where the kale sprouts were today that I showed you. So definitely give these a try. It's something fun to do, especially this time of year when you're itching to plant something and harvest something and nothing's ready yet and it's too early to start a lot of things. And it's a good way to get something fresh into your diet. So I think that will be it for today's video because we're definitely way over 20 minutes. I try to keep my video, I don't like when they're too long, but I had a lot to share today and I hadn't talked to you guys in so long, so I hope you'll forgive me for an extra long video today. I thank you for sticking with me and coming back. I hope you keep coming back, and we'll see you next time.